I like the way you keep talking and then you actually make nice links to my next question. So that's perfect. So let me continue with that.
What's the word? Psychic. I know what's coming. I actually don't. For those that are watching, I actually don't know what's coming. For the record.
That's quite all right. So let's first talk about this. I like to talk a little bit about challenges. So one of the biggest challenges that I'm facing at the moment, I got two boys as well. My oldest is 5, and my youngest is 2. And the biggest issue is having them eat the vegetables. That's like one of the big the big issues I'm having at the moment. Now, that's not what I want to talk about. That's just an example. What I want to talk about is, okay, so for you at the moment, with Maximus being almost three, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
3, and Maverick being 9 months. What are the biggest, or what is the biggest challenge you're facing at the moment? And most importantly, how do you go about solving once such a challenge comes up?
Maverick's teething at the minute, which means he is a moody bum and he's very clingy, which is all part of the process. But it just means that it's balancing attention for me. The biggest thing for me would be making sure that both kids, when I'm alone with them, that both of them get the right amount of attention from me. So because Maverick's a little bit younger, Maximus kind of can play by himself a little bit, but then he'll come up to me and say, Daddy, I want you to play with me. And like, for him to come over and say that to me, that means that he's been thinking about it for a little while. And had I only have one child, then I'm pretty sure that 7 minutes prior to that, I would have probably gone over and said, "You all right there, son? Do you want me to come and play with you?" And he'd have said, "Yeah, Daddy, that'd be great." Whereas that extra 7 minutes, and then he's plucked up the courage to come and say, "Daddy, I want you to come and play with me." Like that, finding the right balance and split of attention between the pair of them personally is probably the biggest challenge that I find. Because I mean, how do you? I mean, Mav is so young that he needs your constant attention. You can't turn your back on him for a minute because he's going to be in at the fire. He's going to be crawling to the stairs and trying to climb up. He's going to be doing something stupid that children do to make themselves put their lives in danger naturally because they're not sensible. They don't know what they're doing. How I overcome it, I'll let you know in a few years' time when I've figured it out myself. I don't really know. I mean, it's putting them in situations where you can rightly balance themselves. So, say for instance, when I get in from work, I'll put the oven on and play with them both. Like, so we'll do joint play time. And then I will feed. Which way do I do it? So I feed Maverick while Maxie's food's cooking, and Maxie will be playing a little bit by himself. So then my direct attention is to Mav while keeping my eye on Maxie. So I feed Mav, get him ready for bed, and then while Maximus and me are eating, Maximus has my sole attention while Mav's ready for bed. So Mav will be playing at the side of the table, and then I'll be having a conversation with Maximus about how nursery was that day. What did you do? And I can have a bit of a chat with him. And then I'll get Maxie ready for bed. We'll have a little play of the pet, like all three of us, and then we'll take him up to bed and do joint bedtime. So I mean, they're both in the same room. So it's kind of easy enough for me to... Maxie will sit and play and read a book or something while I get Maverick over to sleep. And then I'll sit and read a book with Maxie. We're reading BFG at the minute, talking about the Big Friendly Giant. And then we'll sit and we'll talk about the book. And he has that specific time that's just me and him. And having alone time with them where it is just you and him without the other external without other distractions. Not that they're distractions, but I can't think of a better word. With the other distractions, so say if we'll go for a walk and it'll just be me and Maxie, and then you can proper really like not get to know them, but like have a proper chat with them, you know. Or if it's just going for a walk with Mav and you can have a just bit of alone time. I think that's quite important too, to have a bit of, because Maxie's already had that, and I think he might not remember it, and I know that he won't remember it 15 years down the line, but like I remember it and having that alone time with Maxie, and I think that's why number 2 child always develops that little bit slower. I don't know whether you've noticed that. If you've got one child, they seem to develop, or your first child seems to develop with their speech, with their movements, crawling, walking, talking, all of these things. For me, the first child develops a little bit quicker, and the second one in my head doesn't, because you don't have that undivided attention to give them all of the time. So yes, the process is a little bit slower because you don't have that hours on end to spend with them to say mama, mama. And you do with your first one because the novelty's there, right? But then for the second one, you're like, oh, come on, start talking, or don't start talking because I don't want you to shut up, and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's an attention thing for me, 100%.
Understandable. Yeah. When you have two, that makes sense, and you actually dropped some great knowledge there that you have to spend a long time, even if you have only one kid, of course. But if you have more, then the alone time with just one is very, very important.
I regularly send my wife out and just say, right, you take Maxie, go for a walk, and I'll have a play with Mav. Because Mav is still breastfed, so she spends quite a lot of time with him. And it's only recently now that I've got to spend quite a lot more time with him because she's at work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I now have alone time with Mav, which I've never really had before. So I give him his bottle before bed, and I do all of that now, whereas he'd always be fed before bed by Amy, my wife. So yeah, and I feel as though now, I mean, I'm shit with newborns anyway. Like, they're just a little potato and I don't really know what to do with them. It's when they begin to get a little bit more personality that I can then start engaging with them and I can take over. And now he's getting to that point where, I mean, he's nearly 9 months. He's got his own little personality now, and he's getting cheeky, man. And like, so yeah, it's nice to be able to bond with him. I feel as though now, within the past few weeks, I've bonded with him a lot more because I've been able to spend that bit of extra time with him. So yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Excellent.